Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I'm going to go over some very interesting information that we have gotten for New World from an interview that was done with the game director of New World. And this information comes from Gamescom 2021. And the first bit of information is that there will be a open beta for New World that will go from September 9th to September 12th. And just like all the other alphas and betas, no progress will be carried over. It will essentially be the same thing with all of the changes that they have done since the last beta up until this point. And personally, I would recommend avoiding grinding out this beta to avoid burnout. I most likely won't be playing much of it at all. It's only 3 days long and it's not super far away from the official launch of the game. Now we also got some much more interesting information about post-launch content for the game. And all of this information was given as hints, but the first one we know exactly what it is because of some data mining information. In this first one, they showed two different images of a new gauntlet weapon that will be released very shortly after the full release of New World. So I would fully expect these to be within the first month of the game's life. And it's going to be a new magical weapon because it's another gauntlet. And if you've seen some of my leaked information videos or you've seen some of the data mining information, you'll know exactly what these are, because the first image is showing the exact gauntlets that we saw in some of the data mining information. There was just more added to it. So the actual gauntlets in this first picture are the same gauntlets we saw with these kind of claws on the end, and they have some fur or the head of an animal wrapped on the back side of the gauntlet. And that's the same exact things. They just look to now be finished, and those data mine ones weren't finished because now they're holding this kind of big metal ring at the end of the gauntlet, which in my opinion makes them look much cooler. But this pretty much shows us exactly what these are. These are going to be the void gauntlets, and this is what most people expected from going over all the data mine information. The void gauntlets were the only weapons with their full abilities, their full skills and passives fully laid out, and seem to be much further along in development. It seems to be doubling down on this. They also showed another set of images that seem to show the same weapon just in a different aesthetic, and they seem to be much more finely crafted items, so probably a higher tier version of the void gauntlets. And it was specifically mentioned that the gauntlets showed in these images will be released shortly after launch. So like I said, most likely within the first month of the game's life, possibly even a few weeks after launch. And I'd fully expect this to be in the first update. I would fully expect these to be in the first content update of New World. Now the next thing that was mentioned was that players were wanting additional group content and more expeditions, and that they are working towards that. So most likely those will be later down the road, most likely somewhere still in this year. And the wording he used for this sounded like they're working on more expeditions and also more additional group content. Now I'm not exactly certain what this would be pertaining to, if this is going to be some additional instance group content, like maybe hinting at a raid or something like that, or if this is talking more about more open world group content. It's kind of open-ended, but I would most likely assume that they would be meaning more PvE group content, at least for the most upcoming content, and then maybe further down the road when they get more of that more instance PvE group content in, that they add more open world focused stuff. And the last thing mentioned in this interview, and the thing I found most interesting, was that the game director said that the holidays were right around the corner and that he was interested to see how that would look on a Eternum. Now what this says to me is that they're pretty clearly going to be working on or have already worked on holiday events, limited time events for specific holidays. And I think with how grounded and realistic New World is, especially compared to most other fantasy games, that they could very easily add something like Thanksgiving, which would still make sense with the time period that the game is set in. They could very easily add something like Christmas, and with how the aesthetic of the game is, they could easily transform the settlements when those holidays come around and add different content or activities to do for those holidays. And I think those type of limited time holiday events in MMOs are kind of understated in how important they can be to creating a living world, because having these type of events come around every single year and just give you something different to do and transform the world a little bit for that limited time, I think that really adds to the world feeling like an actual world and not feeling as much just like a video game. And then with that, you also get into all of the different cosmetics that would most likely be having in the game. Like, I could very much see them selling a Santa Claus type cosmetic set for the holidays that would probably sell ridiculously well because everybody would want it. I could definitely see them adding some type of present event or going out and having to kill some Grinch creatures or something like that during an event like this. There are so many opportunities to just do kind of fun events that just reinforce that living, immersive feeling of the world. And the overall feeling I got from watching this interview was that the New World team is trying to push out content very quickly after the initial launch of the game, which makes total sense. Like I've said multiple times before, I think New World has a really good foundation, and after they polish it up more, all that's left is content, and content is the most important part for the longevity of MMOs. You can have the most polished base foundation of an MMO ever, and if there's nothing for people to do, they're not going to keep playing it. So it's very nice to see that there will be content very shortly after the full release of the game. So subscribe if you want to see more New World or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about all of this new information that we have gotten, and thanks for watching.